This is the first experiment of its kind in Canada. We've got different ministries involved. We have the Ministry of Housing under Rich Coleman, and as Warren Lemke has told you, the government has bought up 18 hotels in the downtown east side. And we've got the Minister of Health involved because we need to treat those people. So we're seeing to it that psychiatrists and other healthcare professionals are right there at the site of the court, so that immediately we start to treat those people. And we get the Minister of Children and Families, because a lot of these people are young people and their impacts on the families. We get corrections involved, so we get the Solicitor General's ministry involved. And the police, who have been so cooperative in all of this, have to be involved. And I'm really pleased to say the judges have taken a proactive approach. You know, the judges take a lot of heat for problems that really aren't their problems. I mean, these are social problems. You can't expect the courts to solve these problems that are essentially problems dealing with homelessness, mental illness, and all of those other things that I've talked about. So it is a collaborative approach, and we're very optimistic that this will work. It's worked in 27 areas in the U.S. The Midtown Manhattan statistics, the last time I looked at them, a decrease in property crime around 64%. In Brooklyn, Red Hook, Brooklyn, a terrible place in Brooklyn, the crime rate has gone down by 70%. I spent an afternoon with the district attorney of Brooklyn when I was there about a year ago, and he was telling me that even the violent crime has decreased with the establishment of the community court. So what this involves, it involves a new mindset, and that's sometimes difficult to instill. You know, lawyers are used to doing things in a particular way, and a typical case that goes on now in our provincial courts, a person commits a crime, the police arrest that person, and the police write up their reports, or the report is sent to Crown Counsel, and the Crown brings the charge into the courtroom. Defense lawyers get involved. The defense lawyer says, well, I can't go ahead right now because I don't know what the particulars are. I don't know what the police reports say. So the case gets adjourned, and it gets adjourned. And sometimes there are 8 or 9 or 10 or 15 adjournments before all the paperwork gets in. We can't do that anymore. We can't do that. That's not in the public interest. We have to work together. This city, this Lower Mainland, is said to be one of the finest places to live in the world, but it's been deteriorating. And it's our obligation to do something about it. And that's why the government got involved in this. And I'm pleased to say that it's something that's a major project for us. It's a creative thing, and we're very, very hopeful that all of it will work. I'm very optimistic about what we're doing. As I said a moment ago, it's the first of its kind in Canada, and of all the places in the U.S. where they've tried this, they've had a decrease in property crime. So we need to do something different. We can't keep doing business the way we have been doing business, because it's non-productive, and the public is upset, and they have every reason to be upset at the criminal justice system for the way that we've been doing things. So what I've done here is I've followed up on what Superintendent Lemke has said. He has set out the scene of the street crime situation. I've told you why the government got involved, why this is important for us, what we're trying to do, and I'll now turn it over to Judge Gove, who will tell you the actual workings of the court itself.
Well, as you've heard from the first two speakers, the community court in Vancouver came about and became a government initiative as a result of there's a street crimes working group which was appointed by the government to look at the cause and the potential solution for street crime in downtown Vancouver. The working group reported back in the fall of 2005 and said that what we needed in downtown Vancouver was a more problem-solving approach to addressing criminal activity. And as the two previous speakers have commented, the profile of the offenders was certainly pretty obvious. The The decision to set up the community court was made by government and announced in the speech from the throne in 2006. So this has been a provincial government initiative from the beginning. I make that comment because, interestingly, most of the American courts were set up by local initiatives where people who had other jobs were working off the sides of their desks and so forth. And that's why in some places, like in Red Hook, it took 6 years to get the court set up. We've been able to do it in a much faster time period, largely because of the support of the government and sort of the government of all the government ministries got involved right from the beginning because it was a government initiative. The geographical area, which Superintendent Warren Lemke mentioned a moment ago, is set out in that map. We could have made the definition of downtown Vancouver something different than that, but after consulting with a lot of people, we decided that that would be the way to go. What it includes in Vancouver is the Vancouver Police break up the city into 4 patrol districts. This includes all of District 1 and the western half of District 2. So we thought that would make it easier so that the police would know where the cases would be going. The court will handle a broad range of cases, summary conviction cases, cases in which the Crown can proceed either summarily or by indictment, where they proceed summarily, and all cases that are in the absolute jurisdiction of the provincial court. We also do provincial offenses that normally go to provincial court judges, offenses under the Safe Streets Act and the Motor Vehicle Act. We figure that we will probably see about 1,500 individuals in a year. To be quite candid about it, we don't know whether that's accurate or not. We had a great difficulty trying to pull statistics from existing information, but that's what we kind of figure on. I can tell you, and I'll mention in a moment what's happened since we've opened. I think we may have shot a bit, or we may have made the number a bit low. I think we may see more people than that. So we're handling a broad variety of cases. Probably 80% of all criminal activity in that part of Vancouver, people will make their court will be the downtown community court to make their first appearance. The community court, because it's a community court, and we stress the word community when we talk about our court, we do have ongoing dialogues with the community representatives. We've had a lot of community meetings. We've met with business organizations, residents organizations, service providers organizations. There's a whole philosophy in community courts that we learned from reading and from seeing what they've done in the States. There's also community courts, by the way, in England, one in Australia. There's 7 in South Africa, and there's ones that are about to be opened in Glasgow, in Dublin, and in Auckland, New Zealand. So this is a movement which is sort of spreading throughout the common law world, if I can use that term. It is a community for the court for the community. Most people who offend in the community, if they receive a community sentence, which most do, they will do community service. Even people who have difficulties in doing any kind of work, it's very fundamental to community court's philosophy that something be done, even if it's 2 hours. But there is some payback to the community, and that kind of underlies everything that we saw in the American experience. We've also, as I mentioned, we've met with various organizations, and we've got a lot of the community service that we're able to now put our people into is different than existed previously, because a lot of organizations have come forward and said, you know, we're prepared to take somebody because you're prepared to support them being with us, whereas we might not take somebody if you simply just sort of drop them off. A problem-solving court is, as the attorney said a moment ago, is a court where you're trying to solve the problems that cause people to commit crimes, as opposed to simply or addressing, putting the most emphasis on the actual crime. So whereas in a traditional court system, a person commits a certain crime, has a certain record, they can accept a certain punishment. I mean, that's the expectation is there. That doesn't work with many of the people that are committing crimes in downtown Vancouver. Going to jail for 2 months or 3 months or 4 months or 6 months, it really doesn't make much difference. When they come out, if they haven't addressed their addictions, their mental disorders, and certainly when they come out, they're almost by definition homeless. So we've got to do something differently if we want to get different results.